Solomon, the wisest king who lost himself to his own power. Have you ever had everything in your hands and still felt that something was missing? Or perhaps you once made a wrong decision, even though you knew what was right. This is the story of Solomon, a man who began as the wisest king in history, but ended his life lost in his own mistakes. Solomon had a unique opportunity. God offered him anything he wanted. He chose wisdom, and with that, he built one of the most prosperous and influential reigns in history. But over time, the pride and temptations of power led him down a path of decay, idolatry, and ruin. How could such a wise man fall so deeply? What can we learn from his rise and fall? Stay with me until the end of this video and discover the valuable lessons Solomon's story can teach you today. Imagine having before you an opportunity that would change your life forever. One request, anything, wealth, fame, unlimited power. What would you choose? That was Solomon's situation. The young man who inherited an empire and had the chance to shape his own story. Solomon was the son of the great King David and Bathsheba, a marriage marked by controversy and upheavals. Growing up in a palace full of intrigues and power struggles, he wasn't the favorite to reign. His half-brother, Adonijah, tried to usurp the throne, but David intervened and declared Solomon his successor. Thus, he ascended the throne of Israel at a very young age, surrounded by challenges and high expectations. But what made Solomon stand out was neither his lineage nor his political ascent. On that memorable night, God appeared to him in a dream and asked an extraordinary question. Ask what you wish, and I will give it to you. 1 Kings 3:5. Solomon could have chosen absolute power, infinite riches, or the defeat of his enemies, but he asked for something that even surprised God, the wisdom to govern his people with justice, and that choice changed everything. With divine wisdom, Solomon transformed Israel into the most prosperous nation of its time. His reign was a period of stability, wealth, and unprecedented expansion. He controlled trade routes, increased Israel's political influence, and formed strategic alliances with major powers, including Egypt and Phoenicia. One of his most notable achievements was the construction of the Temple in Jerusalem, a monumental work that became the symbol of God's presence among the people, using gold, cedar, and the finest materials of the time. Solomon built one of the most impressive structures of the ancient world. The temple became the center of Jewish worship and a landmark in Israel's history. Beyond his building projects, his wealth was unparalleled. Solomon amassed gold, silver, and spices from across the known world, making Israel a reference for luxury and prosperity. However, all that grandeur concealed a growing problem. His heart began to drift away from God. Solomon, the wisest king in history, made a fatal mistake. He let himself be carried away by his own power. He began to engage in political alliances that went against divine principles, marrying hundreds of foreign women, including Egyptian, Sidonian, and Moabite princesses. These unions were not just diplomatic strategies, they also brought the influence of foreign gods. Over time, Solomon not only allowed idolatry in Israel, but also built altars for foreign deities such as Ashtoreth, Molech, and Chemosh. The king, who once built the most magnificent temple for God, was now funding temples for false gods, completely abandoning the path he had promised to follow. In addition, his relentless pursuit of riches and power resulted in heavy taxation and forced labor, creating discontent among the people. The reign of Solomon, which began with wisdom and justice, ended marked by exploitation and disaffection. His heart no longer fully belonged to God. God warned Solomon that his idolatry and disobedience would have serious consequences, and as foretold, his kingdom began to crumble even before his death. External enemies arose, and internally, the people were dissatisfied with excessive taxes and forced labor. After his death, his son Rehoboam took the throne, but his lack of political skill and arrogance only hastened the collapse. 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel rebelled, forming the northern kingdom under Jeroboam, while only Judah and Benjamin remained loyal to the Davidic line. Solomon's glorious kingdom was officially divided. The king, who began his reign asking God for wisdom, ended his life far from him, trapped by the consequences of his own choices. His legacy, marked by glory and decline, teaches us a harsh lesson about the dangers of pride and disobedience. Solomon's story teaches us that wisdom, wealth, and power do not guarantee a fulfilling life if the heart is not aligned with God. He had everything, but his lack of obedience was costly. This leads us to an important reflection. Are we pursuing success in the right way? Many people today believe that knowledge and material achievements are enough to ensure happiness and stability, but Solomon proves otherwise. Without God, all of it becomes vanity. As he himself wrote in Ecclesiastes, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." Now tell me, which of these lessons impacted you the most? Do you believe Solomon's story is still repeating itself today? Leave your comment below. If you enjoyed this video, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. In upcoming videos, we'll explore other kings who fell because of pride and disobedience. See you in the next video.